All right, Kevin back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships Podcast. And today I'm here with Ghazenfer Mansoor. Ghazenfer, welcome. So awesome to have you on the show today.
Thanks, Kevin, for having me on this show. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I am too. I am too. And I want to give a shout out first to start with for to Brianna and the folks over at the Interview Valet platform. Those guys, they're doing such amazing work. And I don't know, Gazenfer, you probably don't know who Brianna is, do you? I know you work with them, but you work with somebody else. Brianna works probably on my side for podcast
True.
hosts. And I
I
have
work with Liz and Tom.
Okay, okay. Tom's the founder, and okay, very good. And yeah, Brianna works with podcast hosts, and she has been, man, I'll tell you what, she has sent some absolutely amazing guests over. And so now, whenever I get an email from her, it's kind of like Christmas time, Gazenfer, because I never know what's going to be in it. But every time I see it, I'm like, ooh, it's from Brianna. It's probably going to be good, you know? And so the bar is set high, and that's okay. We're going to have an awesome conversation today, and I just
You
want
know,
to
that's
go
that no,
ahead.
that's a good point. Like I think once you build that trust, then you keep going back. I
Yes.
remember early in my career, I was consulting for a company, College Board, the company who does SAT tests.
Okay.
And I went through another company, RDA Corporation in the Maryland area, and they interviewed me. They really grilled me for 2 hours on the Java development. So, and then they just put me on a client project, and I mean, and it was unusual for me because on every project the client actually interviews, and they said the client trusted them so much that they never interviewed their people
Oh,
because they
wow.
were doing so amazing job. And
Mhm.
that's something that clicked to me and I took back in our business.
Yeah.
And now in 10 years, our clients have not interviewed or like maybe in one or two cases where we had to give the resume.
Okay.
No. But over so sometimes you learn that one tip from your customers, from your vendors, from your peers,
Yeah.
and that clicks. And that helps you be in a direction for your business as well.
Yes. Yes. And what a testament right there, Gazenfer, to the power of relationships and power of right relationships, which of course is what this podcast is all about, you know. And when there is that relationship and there's that trust, man, it just kind of flows, you know. And
So,
it's a beautiful thing to experience. So, well, I want to start by just, asking you some questions so we can get to know you and find out more about you and what's really what makes you tick. So why don't we start with just talking about, what business are you in, Gazenfer, and who do you serve?
so we're in a software development business.
Okay.
We serve health tech companies primarily. We started as companies helping all different types of verticals, but gradually we started focusing just on health tech. Now we help companies build HIPAA compliant software products. We also work with healthcare service businesses, help them 10x their operations through AI and technology. Home care, assisted living, those kind of companies. These are the companies uh, who are growing up to a certain stage. These are service companies, and we build internal tools, process automation, helping them bring more efficiency in their processes.
Okay. Okay. Very good. So, how did you get in to this kind of business, Gazenfer?
I have a computer science background,
Okay.
and as every developer who like to build products, I love building products. So I was in a staffing business before. Then I wanted to build a product. So I learned to build product, and then I built a recruitment software SaaS company.
Okay.
There were a lot of experiences that learned the hard way. And then when I started this company, we started with this motto that want to build right the first time. Because what we have seen, the companies are hiring these developers, and those products are never ending products. We keep building, 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 never launching. So we wanted to fix that and said, okay, we will help companies build startup. We will help startups build products that we
Okay.
build the right way the first time, so that um, they are not broke if it doesn't work. So
Mhm.
the challenge is, I mean, and that doesn't mean that you don't evolve. The problem is once you even define your MVP, what needs to be built, many times if it is not done right, the founders have limited money. So
Okay.
that is their entry to get more funding. So you want to build something really good, the first version, so that you get more traction, you get your customers, and then you gradually build and enhance. And that can only happen when you do the right work.
Yeah.
So that was
Okay.
the intention of starting this business.
Okay. And what inspires you most about the work you guys do and the impact you're making, Ghazenfer?
There are there are multiple things. So on the client side, helping these companies create solutions that solve the world's problem. Every company, every founder we are working with, they're solving something. They're here to change the world. And we are the team that is supporting those businesses.
Hmm.
At the same time, the bigger happiness for me is creating an impact, but at the
Hmm.
same time, also creating opportunities for people to be supporting those projects. So, because every project you work on, every job you create, that is creating a livelihood for somebody.
Yes. Yeah.
Somebody, whether it's in United States or in a different part of the world, we have people in 6 different countries, and many of those are growing economies. So any of those actions are helping these people making their livelihood better.
Okay.
And that feeling of as you build these solutions, so you it's a double bottom line because you're supporting uh, those businesses and those communities, and at the same time obviously the benefit of that is, I would say, it has a multiple impact. So
Yeah.
the impact is definitely the one that makes me more excited about what we are doing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That I found, well, that's certainly what it is for me too. It's impact. That's what gets me most jazzed and excited, and I think for, well, at least the entrepreneurs in my world, that's one of the big commonalities between them is that every one of them, they are all using their business as the vehicle to make their biggest impact in the world and stuff. That's the commonality that they all have. And I'm not surprised to hear you say that at all. And what is so what from where you're at right now and when your vantage point that you can see, what's your vision for the future of the company?
Well, a lot of things are changing. So AI is making a big shift. This is the biggest shift that I've seen. I started my career when it was the early web.
Okay.
So now, I mean, that was also a big shift, but for me, it was opportunity. Now, AI is even a much bigger. It's mind blowing how things are moving in a direction.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is also creating those opportunities as well. So this is the time again for people who want to do something to create more companies, more solutions for the problem because it's much different, much easier than it used to be.
Uh-huh.
So,
Okay.
I mean, as we're working on different projects for our customers, we're looking at where the opportunity, because as you work on any of these, you always see more opportunities because uh, whenever there are bottlenecks, there are opportunities as well
Mhm.
because you have to solve that problem.
Yes.
So with AI, it's interesting. It's not just solving the existing problem, but it's also bringing a new problems as well. So it's a very interesting time.
Yeah.
At the
Yeah.
well, at the same time, it's a bit scary time for many people as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay, so now that we've got a little bit of context set here, I want to switch gears just a little bit. And I want to start focusing on our conversation around relationships. And so I just want to start by asking you, Have you ever met or been introduced to a person or persons who completely changed the course of your life or your business, Ghazenfer, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons? And I'm just really excited to hear your story and your experience around this topic of relationships.
Kevin, for me, it's not just one person.
Okay.
Looking back, honestly, I would say that my journey has been shaped by a series of relationships. Each of those were a stepping stone for the next step. So
Uh-huh.
let's say I would go back, let's say I grew up in Pakistan,
Okay.
and as I was working on one of the project, I got an opportunity that was a very risky as well. But one of my mentor, he guided me, he pushed me towards taking that opportunity. Had I not taken that risk, I would have not gotten to the next one.
Mm.
And so, and that opportunity was created by one of the colleagues that I was working
Okay.
in the same company. Now, I went to this next company, interestingly, and it was a very interesting time. And then a friend of mine says, well, you have to do your master's degree. At that time, I did not have a degree. I had a diploma only. And there were some challenges in terms of, he said, no, I know somebody who can help you this one. So he showed me the path, he arranged the meeting, and he pushed me towards getting a higher education.
Okay.
I got that. I was I was in poverty, and I did not have the means for that. There were people who supported me along the way,
Wow.
giving opportunities on jobs or introducing me to something. So each opportunity I look back helped me got to the next step. I would not have been in the United States if I didn't have those opportunities, because those a friend of mine introduced me to a recruiter who was recruiting for a company in the US. And
Okay.
coming here, then one of the coach who showed me um, different as I was trying to work on my business, I worked with a coach who helped me see certain things in a way that I had not seen.
Okay.
And then these entrepreneurial groups, I'm part of EO, I'm part of Open, I'm part of my forums. All these people helped me shape my journey in a different way.
Yeah.
There are coaches that I got through EO, through other way, through CEO coaching. Uh, these were all amazing people. Each taught me something. And I usually, I'm good in like listening and picking up and experimenting things. So I
Mhm.
tried many of those things, right?
Mhm.
And I would say even along the way, books played a big role in me. I mean, I read so many books, and like I picked up lessons from, for example, one of my partnership was made based on a book reading from a book, a great game of business by and Stake in the Outcome by Jack Stack.
Okay.
Another book, Who Not How by Dan Sullivan.
Oh,
That's an
yes.
amazing book that
That
helped
is a
me
great book.
make a sort of.
Yeah.
Another book by Richard Goldsmith, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. Dale Carnegie's book on how to win friends and influence others.
Yeah.
So all these different books shaped my direction uh, in a different way.
Yeah.
Because every time I'm learning something, I'm experimenting, and then uh, I think then I took a leap towards creating my own podcast, starting my own speaking engagement.
Mhm.
Wrote a first book, which is on the mobile apps growth strategies beyond the download, how to build mobile apps that people love, use, and share every single day.
Okay.
Now I'm writing another book. So
Uh-huh.
all these things help me shape the direction. But looking back, I would say it's not one thing. It's not one person. It would not be fair to if I just point to one person that shaped my
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah.
All these people contributed to my growth.
Yes. Yeah. You know, that is really powerful. You know, you see this term self-made man, you know. And I don't think anything could be further from the truth that none of us are self-made. You know, like you just shared, there's a large number of people who have had an impact on your life over the years and who have just been there at just the right time to lead you in the your next direction and stuff, in the direction that was a right fit and in alignment for you, you know. And I know you mentioned the book Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. You know, I was in strategic coach for a number of years, and I was in one of Dan's groups. And I will tell you, it's a pretty amazing experience hanging out with Dan. You know, and man, that guy, I don't know a deeper thinker than that guy. He is an incredibly deep thinker, and he's really good at asking just questions that really just cause you to pause and just really start thinking deeply yourself on something that is just that's really going to help you, you know, go get to where you want to go and make the kind of impact that you want to make. And you're right, you know, there's been so many people in your journey, there's been so many people in my journey too and stuff. And you know, because if you look, I want you to think of, and I'm sure you could come up with lots of examples to this, and I just want you to come up with one. But if you look at a situation, an experience where you personally, you got to make a really substantial impact, a really big impact, and maybe even as this happened, or maybe after it happened, maybe, you know, it even surprised you a little bit. And you were just like, wow, look at what just happened there. And that I caused that to happen. But yet you also know that would have never been possible if not for the relationship that you had with any one of these people that you know that have helped you over the course of your year. What's an example of something like that?
Uh, do you mind elaborating a little bit more,
Yeah.
maybe
So,
in the
so any of these, you know, whether it was like the recruiter that you talked about, or your coach, or people that you've met in EO, or people that, you know, you've read books like Dan Sullivan's Who Not How, or what have you, that then empowered you that you got to make in turn make this really big impact. And so that's what I'm looking for. Is I'm an example. You know, I want to give you opportunity to share, you know, a result that you know what? I mean, maybe I could frame it easier this way. What's a result that you have helped a client get that you guys are just incredibly proud of?
Yeah, so okay, so all of these learning, all of these uh, relationships or impacts that we talk, I would say even one client helped us, uh, like even like we're a software development company, even in terms of how we were doing the software development, there were some guidance, some tips that came from one of our clients that
Okay.
helped us do the things in a certain way. We
Okay.
realized, oh, that was a coaching came directly from our client to our team. Hey,
Mhm.
if you do it this way, this would help you. And that was a mind blowing because those clients are the clients typically you pay for the service. But in this case, our relationship has always been with the client as a partner. So
Oh,
they guided us in terms of, oh, this is how you should do the things. And because of that, it shaped our development effort as well. So a lot of those things helped us in our journey.
okay. Okay. So did
And
you?
obviously, and obviously, as those different learning, that's also helping us groom our team.
Yeah.
Like all the learning that we are doing through these groups, through these books. Like for example, I'll give you another one. We do like as you start talking to these different coaches about the growth,
Uh-huh.
like what's the mean? Like we implemented Lombardi time. That the word I first heard from a coach that was one of the Vistage exterior, and I was one of his CEO peer advisory group.
Okay.
So we implemented that in our company. We have our weekly huddles with the whole team. So helping building those relationships, all these learning came out of all of these different relationships, and that helped us impact. That helped the team grow and be a better team.
Okay. Okay. Have you had lots of conversations like that with clients over the years where they gave you feedback like that and said that, hey, if you can do this, if you can do this, as is because I love that because man, I mean, like, they're the ones investing in you guys, and yet there's this collaborative and co-creative conversation going on between you and them so that the outcome is far more powerful than it ever would have been if that collaborative co-creative conversation was not taking place.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, that whole software development, whole product development can only work if you are co-creating something.
Yeah.
If the clients are giving instruction, then we're just doing it, then we're just like everybody else. Then we are not really doing our work.
Mhm.
We believe in co-creation. It's a collaborative effort. Whatever client comes in, it's an idea. How do you work on that idea is you have to mm, you have to discuss, you have to brainstorm, and then come up with the right way of doing it.
Yeah.
So I think that collaboration part is the most important one that
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
raised.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see so many businesses that don't operate that way. They just do their thing, and there's not enough communication between them and the client they serve. That they're I don't know they're more like we know how to do this. We're experts at this, and we're just going to do our thing. You know, and I'm like, man, they're missing out on so much that could be and could happen if they just started co-creating and collaborating together, and I know
And sometimes, yeah, and sometimes that does create a problem as well. Like uh, we had one instant instance recently where somebody said they explicitly sent an email that you won't challenge our clients' um, uh, business business approaches, for example,
okay,
or like so. In our case, we're not really challenging their decisions. What we do is we communicate and make sure that they hear the alternate option as well. So yes, in some way you can say it's a pushback, it's challenging, but we challenge in a positive way because challenging mean have you thought about this alternate option? That doesn't mean you should do it. I
hmm,
mean, in our case, we never push the clients to do things in the way they are not. Our job is to show them many different ways. Here are the three ways of doing this one.
yeah,
And here's one our recommendation. So that model of 3-1, where three recommendation, three solutions with one recommendation, that's usually the one of the best way I learn because now you are not making a decision, you are letting the client make the decision, but you are giving them enough information to make that decision. If I
yes,
only give them one option, and many times clients say yes because we're not technical, we're not a product people, we trust you.
hmm,
Then if that doesn't go well for whatever the reason, then it's a problem. And
hmm,
many of those things in the software world where you don't know because you don't know the client react like their client's reaction, how the users will react. So there
hmm,
is like this is like even in marketing, like you continue to optimize and enhance. So the software products are like that. So if you're building something, it's not that you build something and customer will always like. You'll always have some feedback from people. So in order to do that, you have to have that product approach where you are providing enough guidance and enough information that the client is making the right
Yeah.
enough client is making a decision based on all that information available.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. So, um, I'm just trying to think how I want to phrase this. So you place such a high value on relationships, and not just, relationships that have helped you get to where you are, but also the relationship that you have with the clients that you guys serve and all that. And so, I know that I have long believed that as entrepreneurs, relationships are our most valuable asset. Um, f- but for entrepreneurs who don't necessarily view it that way, and they look at maybe there's other things that they place more value on, what would you say to that entrepreneur who maybe doesn't place quite as high a value on relationships as you do?
Oh, that's a harder question because that's a question for those people who are not mm, focusing on those relationships.
Yeah.
So for me, it is important. And let me tell you a story a little bit, and this is a common question that I've been asked many times. So
Okay.
I want to share a story I probably shared with you before as well, offline. So I go to conferences, and many time at the end, like many time you're meeting somebody says, "Okay, do you exchange cards?"
Hmm.
And I get this comment quite often that, "Oh, who uses the card nowadays?" So they have a digital, oh, bump the phone, or let's connect on LinkedIn. The challenge is once you leave that conference, how do you remember who you connected? Yes, you go back to your LinkedIn, you remember all the 10 people, but if you're connecting, just connect, there was no reference left. And then if you connected, how do I know which connection contact was added when you have thousands of those contacts on your phone?
Yeah.
So I always have those physical cards with me. And cards are cheaper. And I always tell people one story that I was at a conference many years ago, and I was sitting with somebody and we exchanged cards.
Okay.
A few months later, this guy called me and he said, "Oh, we were on the same table and you gave me your card. And I'm working on a project, a software development project, and we need help. Is that something you do?" I said, "Yes." We talked. We look at the project. We give them a proposal. We got that project.
Okay.
Few months later, one of the partners also was on the board of another company and they needed some help. So he introduced us there after a 6 month of work with them.
Okay.
We got another project, then another one. So we got multiple projects from that.
Yeah.
And looking back in probably 6 years time frame, we got close to $2 million business from that one card exchange.
Yeah. Yeah.
From that point onward, I focused on improving the quality of the card, and I keep a bunch of those with me because they're cheap.
Yeah.
But when you go back home or your office, you'll have a card right in front of you. I have a card right in front of me from my TED Talk over the weekend.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
to me, those cards or whatever the way you stay connected. So because the bigger challenge is now like you go meet people, how do you take that relationship and have a deeper
That's right. Yes.
relationship with them? And
Yeah.
that's a tough part. In
Yeah.
today's world, it's very challenging. Now, connecting on LinkedIn is probably the least post we could do, maybe on Facebook, but
Mhm.
then looking at what that person is doing, how you can help that person, how you can make introduction for that person or introduce somebody else with that person.
Yeah.
It's a difficult challenge, but it is, I mean, it is complicated, but you gotta do that.
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
find some ways.
Yeah.
Yes, the cards are not solving you some, but at least if they're in front of me sometime, it refreshes my memory.
Yeah.
In the sales, they also talk about follow up, be in front of the people at the right time.
Yes. Yeah.
So that also gave you the opportunity. So I'm not saying cards are right or wrong, that's everybody's decision. But that helped me. That's a traditional way, and I'm fine with that. For
Yeah.
me, the card works, and
Yeah.
I still keep Punch with me all the time.
That's awesome. You shared that story with me before when we were getting to know each other, and that meant what a powerful story that is. And once again, what a powerful testament that is to the power of relationships too. That for one, it just demonstrates that you just sincerely care about people and stuff. And when we just show up that way, the right people, they come into our lives. I mean, I'm sure you could share lots of examples of just people that you've met that they've circled back around with you, and maybe decided to do business with you, or they've referred other people to you, or what have you, all because you had that relationship with them. And like you said, I mean, I got one of my friends, he they bought a new building, and they're moving this week. He's moving his entire offices to a new location, and they started moving today. And so I just sent him a text message this morning. Just said, "Hey man, just wanted to let you know I was thinking about you and your team today on the first day of moving and stuff, and wishing you guys the best, and look forward to talking again soon, and just appreciate you." That's all. That's pretty much it. That was the whole message right there. And just simple stuff like that just people know that we're on their radar because they matter to us, because they're important to us, because the relationship is important to us, you know. And it just speaks volumes. And you're right, not many people use cards these days. But I'll tell you, when you do it, and you do it the way that you do it, and you just make such an impact. And of course, I guarantee you're standing out because hardly anybody else is doing it. And so, well, I'll tell you, Ghazenfer, I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation today. And for anybody who's listening to this, going, man, Kevin, I really appreciate Ghazenfer. I really appreciate who he is and how he shows up. And maybe they're thinking, man, he might be able to help us. I'd like to find out more about what they're doing, and maybe they might be able to help us. Or I got a friend that they might be able to help. Any websites, any resources that we can share with folks? And I know you mentioned your book too, and talk about that a little bit too.
Yeah, absolutely. So my business website is technologyrivers.com,
Okay.
rivers.com. You can find out all about what services, the AI work we do. Uh, we have a portfolio, everything you can find. And then
Okay.
my personal website is ghazenfer.com, my first
Okay.
name, .com, where you can learn more about the book that I'm working on and my podcast. So I have
Okay.
a podcast called Lessons from the Leap, where I talk to entrepreneurs, business leaders, learning about their journeys.
Oh,
So, and the book is, and thank you for mentioning that, the book is Beyond the Download, How to Build Mobile
yes.
App That People Use, Love, and Share Every Day. This is the book that I wrote based on my experiences on the mobile space that I've been involved from the very early days, including way before iPhone and Android came, when it was just the Palm or Nokia phones.
Yeah.
So the book talks about all the experiences of building the mobile app that people really use. not really
Okay.
just a download. And if you see on your phone, you always have so many apps downloaded, you're not using them.
Sure.
So what do you get out of that? So that book talks about that. So if you are building a mobile app, you want to read that book. It's gonna
Okay.
come out by the end of the year. So by the
Okay.
time this episode is released, it may already be out.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay. And then I'm also working on my second book, which is more on the healthcare side, building healthcare applications in the AI world. So it's we don't have a date yet. There is work going on, but that's
Okay.
going to be my next. So I have a few books ideas that I want to work on.
Awesome. Awesome. And as that unfolds, I would imagine that your website will be updated with that information too and stuff on the next book and so.
Yes, as soon as I have a more clarity on that,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we're still dabbling with the title, but
Okay.
overall, what we want to talk about, we already have that line.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Perfect.
And it does talk about my speaking as well. So I talk on different topic, 10x growth through technology,
Okay.
mobile app growth, AI and healthcare. So my website has everything.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Well, any last thing that you feel led to share, Gazenfer, before we call it a wrap?
I think I talked a lot in terms of what we do, and yeah, thanks for having me on this podcast. And this topic of relationship is really important for me as well because these service businesses run on relationship. In fact,
Yeah.
anything uh, that you do is based on relationship.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the other book that I would mention, I was part of this local group called Cadre by Derek Coburn, and he wrote a book many years ago, Networking is Not Working.
Mm.
It's a good book to talk. And one of the things that he talked, which resonated me, was you want to be the go-to person for anything. If somebody even need a plumber, if who do they call?
Mhm.
Are you the person who is connected to many that your friends are always calling you? If you are that person, that would make a huge difference. So you want to be that person.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to be that connector, that conduit of trust for the people in your world. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you, that's that's being of service in that way is incredibly rewarding. And when you do it with the right people, man, you can make a really big impact, you know. And I've been blessed to be able to be that connector and conduit of trust over the years. And I can tell you, um, this podcast has really played into that. It's not like things weren't going well before the podcast, they were, but there's definitely, before the podcast and after the podcast. And it's been a really exciting journey since launching the podcast 3.5 years ago. I'm really excited about where we are right here, right now. I'm also just really stoked about, man, where are we going to be in another 3.5 years? I mean, I get pretty excited thinking about that vision too and stuff. But you're right, being that connector, being that conduit of trust for the people in our lives, man, it's incredibly rewarding, and we get to make a really big impact when we're doing that with the right people. And so, because
Yeah,
yeah. Well, once again, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation today. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you. And I'm excited to get this out there and share it with folks. So thank you so much.
problem. I'm excited. Thanks for having me on this podcast. I'm glad I joined this podcast. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. You're so welcome.